I'll remove the temporary crown and put on the permanent crown, but you will eventually have to have this tooth extracted. The patient's tendency to procrastinate made them responsible for the result. Robert Kiyosaki wrote a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and he said, as a reminder, your future is determined by what you do today, not tomorrow. Let me repeat that. Your future is determined by what you do today, not tomorrow. The procrastinator gets comfortable believing that tomorrow will provide a better opportunity than today. Then, when tomorrow actually comes, it's easier to wait for the day that follows. You know the old saying, right? Tomorrow is always a day away. The procrastinator is banking on the idea that tomorrow will provide a better opportunity than today reveals our overconfidence. Okay? Oh, I got overconfident. We're going to be looking at that tonight. Ben Franklin said, "Work while it is today, for you know not how much you may be hindered tomorrow." One day is worth tomorrows. One today is worth two tomorrows. Never leave that till tomorrow which you can do today. How many of us have left something but, I have tomorrow? There's been many times that I'll have to admit there are things come into my life and I say, okay, I'll do it tomorrow. And then I start tomorrow, and guess what happens tomorrow? Ba-boom, it explodes. Then what happens? Okay? Because we never know what tomorrow will bring. I'll give you a little example. And I know that Rusty can relate to this. Gary can relate to this. If Dennis Robert was here, Dennis Robert could relate to this. I got up one Sunday morning at 3 a.m. and came over here to finish my morning message. And as I normally would do, as I walked in, it was in August or July, I walk in, and I'm going to go check the dehumidifier and make sure the dehumidifier is working right. So I walk in the old nursery, and I step on the rug, and I hear squishy sounds. Wet. I go, uh-oh. So I go and open up the door to the ladies' bathroom. And there is a geyser coming up off the floor about this high. 3 o'clock in the morning. There's a good-sized puddle, and there was an old rug that was in there, and it was all soaked. So what do you think I first did? I ran and found one of the dry vacs, started sucking up, and as fast as I'm sucking up this water, more water is coming up through the floor. I'm going, now what do I do? So I called Gary. Hi, you've reached Gary Guyette. I can't answer the phone right now, but then again, I don't know if I hear it or not, so just leave me a message. I'm going like, really? So then I call Paula. I call her cell phone, and I get the same response. I said, and I'm going like, wow, all right. So then I call Rusty. I say, Rusty, I got a serious problem down here. Can you give me a hand? And Rusty comes out. Okay? I called Dennis. I said, Dennis, I hate to wake you up at 3 o'clock in the morning, but I've got a serious problem here. Finally, I called the guy at landline, and Paul says, can you have Gary come over here? Because I got a water problem big time, and he came over. Okay? So why did I say all that? Because I pushed off finishing my message to early in the morning. Why? Because it's nice and quiet in my office at 3 o'clock in the morning. There's nobody here, nothing to bother me. I can think more clearly and just finish off what I want to say. Well, I didn't get to my office at 3 o'clock. Didn't get to my office at 4 o'clock. I got to my office about 5:30 to finish off my message. So what am I trying to say? There's a real-life example of get it done beforehand. Okay? Don't put it off until the finishing touches till 3 o'clock in the morning on Sunday morning. But how many of us do that? How many of us put something off? Okay? Again, there are times that, you have on the newer cars, you have a little idiot light that tells you it's time to change your oil. Now, if you know how to reset that, you can just push that button and reset it, and then you can keep driving, right? But you know that the light is there to tell you it's time to change your oils, or else there's going to be a huge problem. I mentioned last week that I had a car. Actually, Julia has her car, the car that she had first, and gave it to her brother John, and then John gave it back to her. Well, when Julia gave it to John had to do about $3,000 worth of work on the car. Not to mention that the oil hadn't been changed in 2 years. Okay? So we have to understand, remember I talked about tooth decay? If you don't take care of something right away, you could end up having huge problems that are going to cause, even greater problems. Okay? Wait, I haven't finished yet, because there's some more about this whole idea of being overconfident and having a prideful attitude about being overconfident. Well, tomorrow rarely provides the opportunities that today does. Jesus said this in Matthew chapter 6, verse 34. Take therefore no thought for what? Tomorrow, or the morrow. For the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. What the patient in my introduction learned was, while they had chosen to wait, decay had not. While they chose to delay, decay did not. What's true in the dentist chair is true of our marriage, is true of our church, is true of our community, and it's anything that you and I choose to do. There can be some ramifications. You can wait, but the decay goes to work right away. When we procrastinate, we don't immediately feel the consequences of putting off what should be done. It's like the deadened nerve in one's tooth. This gradual decay affects our relationships as well. Okay, think about this for a second. If there was a conflict between you and somebody else, and you just let it go, what will happen in that relationship? It'll start breaking down. And it can eventually continue to decay. So we have to be careful. If anything in either relationships, anything we do, we have to be careful, because if we delay on something, it can create even greater problems. Jesus said this in Matthew 18, verse 15. Moreover, if thy brother shall trespass against thee, go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone. If he shall hear thee, thou hast gained thy brother. Okay, that's an important thing for us to understand. Sometimes you may be offended by somebody, and they didn't know they offended you. And what happens? You're remembering the offense. It's better for you to go talk to that brother and get things resolved. Jesus chose the present tense for go, not the future tense, in Matthew chapter 18, verse 15. Jesus is saying, go immediately. Don't put it off. There's a chance one can gain one's brother, but that chance decreases exponentially when one waits. As you wait, it'll drive a wedge between you all. Paul wrote in Ephesians chapter 4, verses 26 and 27, be angry and what? Sin not. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath. Neither give place to the devil. In the context of broken communication, procrastination gives Satan the opportunity he otherwise wouldn't have. You know, if we don't take care of something right away, Satan's going to go in. When somebody offends you and you don't, and you think they know that you were offended, and you say, well, they should be coming to me, and you wait, what's going to happen? Is that going to mend your relationship, or is that going to start pushing your relationship apart? See, it's going to start pushing that relationship apart. And that's where we have to be careful. That's where Satan goes in, because Satan will say, oh, let him come to you. Oh, it's not your problem. Oh, let her come to you. Oh. And then all that is creating the bigger and bigger gap. Make no mistake about it, Satan knows how to exploit trouble. I read this quote. Before the firestorm, any trouble you put off until tomorrow will quickly become far worse. I'll repeat that. Beware of the firestorm. Any trouble you put off until tomorrow will quickly become far worse. The idea that tomorrow will be better than today is pride's subtle lie. Right? It's a subtle lie. Oh, I'll have time. To be honest, we don't even know that we have tomorrow, but we do have today. Isn't that true? How many times we say, well, okay, well, I'm really tired today, but, I'll do it tomorrow. What happens when tomorrow comes? And there's trouble that comes along. Or something explodes, and now you're all tied up taking care of another issue. And you never get to what you were going to do. We all have to be honest. Oftentimes, you and I like to procrastinate. Okay? We like to push some things off. And when that happens, usually the whole situation gets blown out of the proportion. Humility works today and doesn't make assumptions about tomorrow. James chapter number 4, verses 13 through 16. Go to now, ye that say, today or tomorrow, we will go into such a city and continue there a year and buy and sell and get gain. Whereas ye know not what shall be on the morrow. For what is life? It is a vapor that appeareth like for a little time, and then vanisheth away. For that ye ought to say, if the Lord will, we shall live and do this and do that. But now ye rejoice in your boasting, all such rejoicing is evil. Remember what happened? Oh, well, we're gonna go into the city and we're gonna buy and sell for the next year. There's an assumption that he's going to have the whole next year, right? Is there any assumption we have another year? Is there any, there's an assumption here, number one, that he's going to have a whole year. He has an assumption, number two, that he'll be able to buy and sell in that community. What happens if there is a drought, or what happens if there's an economic collapse? Are you going to be able to buy and sell like you want? No, you're not going to be able to. Give you a little one here. Think about after January 20th of 2025. Stock market was way up here, right? All of a sudden, our president announced all these tariffs. What happened to a lot of the 401ks and all your Roth RIAs? They went, they crashed down. And you remember what was going through the media? Oh, our country's in trouble. These things aren't going to happen. Whoa. Did not the market rebound a little bit? I mean, it's not back up to where it was, but did it not rebound back? But what happened? There was no guarantee on those things. How many of us have money in the stock market? Don't answer that question. How many of us have lost money in the stock market? Don't answer that question either. I mean, oftentimes we try to make sure that we have our things in safe havens of getting some interest. Of course, now we don't put it in the bank because the bank only gives you what? 0.5% of 1%? You know? But anyway, let's go back here. It says the overconfident optimist sees today and tomorrow as the same. There's no difference between today or tomorrow. They're the same. Today or tomorrow. It's a small difference, but it communicates a great deal about the procrastinator's thought process. Now think about this thought process. The procrastinator does not say today and tomorrow, but meaning he needs both days to get the work done. That's one thought. Second thought. He does not say today instead of tomorrow, because meaning he believes all the work can be done today. Now, are there not things, for those who are working, are there not things you are set out to do and you've got to complete them in a specified amount of time? I remember while I was in Bible school and I was working for Ted Town, and Ted's not a procrastinator. He is one of these guys, go, rush. If it will be done today. Okay? And he would push all of those guys working on the crew to get that work done, to get that finished. Now, you can go to other contractors and, they'll lay back. Anybody here ever worked for a municipality? Gary, don't raise your hand. Many years ago when I was in high school, I went to work for a highway department. And so I was put underneath a man above me, and we were out cutting down whips along the side of the roads. And we were assigned a certain part of the road to do. So you get up there and you start working away. And after an hour, my boss says to me, or the guy that's leading me up, he says, all right, we got to take a 10-minute break. So then you get up and you start working for 10 minutes. Time to take a break for 20 minutes. And then you work for 20 minutes and you take a break for 40 minutes. Okay? You see how he's pushing all that way out and way out and way out? Are we accomplishing the work that's probably set before us? No. We'll push it off for tomorrow. How many times do we see that happen today? Pushing things off. The procrastinator says today or tomorrow, meaning he sees both days as legitimate options. The procrastinator sees the 2 days as the same, but they are not. So James is giving a warning. You know you have today. You should not be so confident about tomorrow. Who knows the future? God does, right? Jeremiah chapter 29 verse 11 says, for I know the thoughts that I think towards you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not evil, to give you an expected end. So let me ask this, or let me say this. We can plan. True? We can guess. We can imagine. But only God knows the future. Think about this statement. If you knew you only had 1 week on earth, would you spend it differently than you were planning? What happens if you just told, you know what, you got 1 week? What would you do? What things have you been putting off that you would attempt to complete? What, perhaps a broken relationship, perhaps an unfulfilled promise, or a commitment that you haven't met yet. When we make commitments, okay, we should follow through with those commitments, shouldn't we? I mentioned last week, how did we do things, or maybe I even was in this Sunday morning in the opening with the proverb, how did we do things? How would we have contracts? By handshake, right? We didn't have to have things spelled out in writing. A man's handshake was his word. Look how far we've gone away from that. Now we have to have contracts. And like I showed everybody on Sunday night, the packet of information that Lori and I had to sign with regards to the line of credit for this church from the bank. It was almost 35 pages long. One of the best things that a procrastinator can do is to live as if there is no tomorrow. Can I be honest with you? That's sometimes what I look around. I look around and look at things that need to be done, and I say, okay, what has to be done? Like I mentioned, the fire department sent us, and the building inspector came through and said, okay, we got to fix this and fix that and fix this, okay? And so those things we're working on. Ordered in the things that I needed to order in so that we could get them things repaired. Had to put the signs, like you see the nice, fire extinguisher sign there. And you'll look around. Every fire extinguisher in this building has a sign telling you where it is. I mean, you can't miss it, right? I mean, fire extinguishers are red, just to, But anyway, but then there's emergency signs. Do you know when the power goes out, those lights have to remain lit because there's a battery inside? And what they do is they test them. They push the side button to see if they stay lit. If they don't stay lit, we have to replace them. We got emergency lights, one over there. Well, when the power goes out, those lights come on. Those are powered by a battery. Those all have to work. These doors, you got to be able to open those doors and let them go, and they close automatically. Both sides have to work. If they don't work, we're in violation. So our list came back, what we had to do. Gary's been on top of what he had, on some of the things he had to do. I got all the fire extinguisher signs up. There are a few more things that we're going to be working on that we're going to get done. But, you can't put it off. We put it off, what's going to happen? There could be a fire, or there could be some serious situation, and it could be devastating. So we got to work. The overconfident optimist envisions more time than he actually has. Now, he is a generic term for any of us. Okay, it's just not man. The overconfident optimist is planning on spending a year there when he finally gets to his destination. That's in James chapter 4, verse 13. He plans on be there. Can I ask, what is the purpose of his trip? What's the purpose of the trip for the man in James chapter 4, verse 13? What's that? Make money. Make profit. There are some assumptions made by procrastinators. He assumes that today and tomorrow were the same. There is an old English proverb. What can be done at any time is never done at all. Let me repeat that. What can be done at any time is never done at all. James 4:14 said, "Whereas ye know not what shall be on the morrow, for what is life? It is even a vapor that appeareth for a little while and then vanisheth away." How many years do we have on planet Earth? 70 is what the Bible says, right? Has everybody that we know reached 70 before the Lord's called them home? No. What is that telling us? Well, the 70 is what the Bible says, but many do not make 70. I bet you there are some of your relatives who have passed on early, before 70, were not thinking that they would pass away at that time. I bet you they had plans for the future. We have plans, don't we? Don't we have plans to see our grandchildren? Don't we have plans to see our great-grandchildren? Don't we have plans to see our grandchildren get married? Or are we all going to see that? I don't know. The procrastinator will always assume they have more time than they really had. Luke chapter 14, verse 28. "For which of you, intending to build a tower, sitteth not down first and count the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it?" The project could take longer than expected. We have to remember that rebuilding broken relationships won't happen overnight. It takes time. Amen? For the procrastinator can be also termed as the arrogant optimist. Why? Because he takes his stewardship of time far too lightly. He assumes his time is his own. We have to understand the time that we have is given to us by God. He doesn't seek counsel from others. He doesn't take counsel from God regarding how to spend his time. He spends time on what he deems best and pushes off the unfinished task for tomorrow. I'm going to close with this. His attitude would need to change, or his procrastinating habits never will. We have to start rethinking. Oh, I got to get this done and do this done and this done. If we got time to do it today, let's do it today. If we don't have, we've got to not push things off. Well, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. We all have to say that we do procrastinate on things. I know I look at my own and I say, yeah, I've pushed this off, I pushed that off. Oh, I'll do this later on. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. We're not given any guarantees. So let's not, if we can, let's not procrastinate. Let's get what we need to done and go forward. There's things we can do for Christ, right? Oh, well, I got to do this, I got to do that. I'll do it tomorrow. Got to remember, tomorrow, I love you tomorrow. You're always a day away. All right, take out your prayer sheets. I do know that David Lemire has some more doctor's appointments coming up. So if you would, just keep him in prayer. I think, as I mentioned last time, he has been placed on hospice. And again, Will just says, I don't know why they put him on hospice. But again, when someone gets into the